Hi, everyone. I'm Ninar, and this is Katrien. Welcome to the Art of Being Women. Thank you for being with us. Before starting our discussion,
Hello.
hi.
I guess I'm having fun with this, so there you go.
Yeah, no. The whole point is to have fun. Before we
Yeah.
start our discussion, we wanted to share with you some feedback that made us really happy. We're technically on our second show, literally, third, including the pilot, but we still got some very great feedback and comments from our slowly growing community. And we were really happy that some people were engaging with us and what they shared with us. Mainly, it was that why limit the show to, 40 plus, 50 plus? We've got people whose children related to the subjects we discussed. That being said, it was, the love show, as I mentioned, we just started. And others who said they were in the 60s and they were watching. So we just didn't feel at the beginning, I guess, that maybe we were entitled to address everyone, but it is, after all, a conversation and a place for all women of all ages. So, of course, we will not limit it. And as we said, we are growing together and we are working on the show as we grow. So, no age limit, no age label, no age nothing. We're here for everyone.
No, no ageism, no ageism.
No ageism. And please keep engaging with us and sending us our comments as the show grows. So today we're going to be discussing things that have to do with the upcoming International Women's Day, uh, right this weekend on Sunday. And also, as we promised at the beginning, when we said who needs another podcast on our pilot, if you remember, we said that we're going to try and, either discuss new subjects, or if it's a known subject, we're going to try and shed the light on a new angle, a different perspective, something that you don't get to really hear in mainstream media, because otherwise, why are we here? And we already have different perspectives, but still, both of us, we want to discuss what hasn't been discussed. So for me, Katrien, it started really when I was, trying to research the subject and what would I want to talk about on International Women's Day. And I started researching the themes this year. So the UN's was for all women and girls, rights, equality, empowerment. That's fair enough. That's neutral enough and, inclusive enough. But for instance, for the International Women's Day organization, it was accelerate action or accelerate action, yeah, gender equality. So it was focused and centered about career. And this is when this occurred to me that why is it that to celebrate women every year, it has to be career focused? It has to be, and even the empowerment has to be career focused. First of all, who asked women how do they want to be celebrated? And is that how they want to be visible? Because it's not only working on gender equality or opportunities, equality of opportunities at work in the workplace, it is leaving behind the other subjects. Some women don't want to compete with men. Some women are happy and fulfilled, and they're no less intelligent or successful being, full-time at-home moms, or being a poet, or being a nurse, or being a school teacher. This whole thing of exclusively career empowerment has gone beyond just a celebration, and I think has reached a place where it was these other dreams of women were dismissed from society, creating pressure on women to, okay, so I guess we need to compete now. Do we need to have a career? Do we have to do that? So it's about, really, I think someone has to stop this world, these labels, society, and say some women, and hear all voices, really be inclusive. So I don't know if you agree, or what do you have to say about that?
I totally agree with you. I am so over international organizations or national organizations that are only celebrating women in high career jobs or that are keep on pushing women to go into these very successful professional careers. And it's like you say, it's a rivalry, right? Why do we feel like we have to have this rivalry with women who are doing better or who have more exciting jobs than we do? And to give you an example, some years ago, I reached out to one of these women's organizations in Washington, D.C. I'm not going to mention the name here, but I approached them and I said, have you ever thought about doing segments on female caregivers? And they looked at me and they started kind of laughing at me because caregivers, who in the world would want to talk about caregivers? Well, because like you say, female caregivers are there for their children, they're there for their spouses who are sometimes sick, they're there for their parents who are sometimes sick. Female caregivers take care of their communities. And why would that be less as a job than any other job that is out there? So I totally agree with you. There are two names that I would like to mention in this, and I'm so grateful that these high-powered women are actually speaking out on this. One of them is Indra Nuha, and she is the CEO of Pepsi Coke, who goes out there all the time and says, I would not have been able to have gotten to my CEO job had it not been for an enormous amount of help from the outside, whether it was her parents, whether it was her spouse, or whether it was professional help. And then another woman that I would like to mention is Anne-Marie Slaughter, who also wrote an interesting book on this called Unfinished Business, in which she is talking about women, men, work, and family, and how hard it is actually to combine all of these four of them together. So yes, I totally agree with you. It is something that I get quite uptight about, being a stay-at-home mom myself, or I used to be a stay-at-home mom. Um, and I had made that choice myself to be that, to give up my career in order to stay at home. And you know what? There's actually something really wrong about this term stay at home mom, because we don't just stay at home all the time. We manage a lot of stuff. We manage the household, we manage, um, you know, uh, I wouldn't say we manage the life of our children because that's not true. But we help and we are there for our families 24 hours on 24. And I myself personally made that decision. And why wouldn't women be allowed to make that decision? I mean, I was in a financially um, uh, the right position and the right situation to be able to do that. A lot of women are not able to do that. I am very much aware of that as well. So yeah, there you go. That's my point of view on that.
No, I totally agree, Katrien. And I was just going to mention if it was a man who was caregiving, it would be celebrated as though he's doing something extra and noble. But suddenly, roles that were classical for women became taboo as though it's something wrong. And we have a famous quote by our author and philosopher who's Lebanese American, Khalil Gibran, who everyone in the US knows. And his quote is in Arabic,
Yep.
it says, Wajhu ummi, wajhu ummati. It means the face of my nation, or the face of my mother is the face of society. The face of my mother is the face of the nation. So words have changed. The language and narratives changed to change the realities, which is a mother is raising a family and she's raising society. She's building society. It's a noble job. It's a far noble job and much more difficult than any CEO of any corporation. She's raising children, She and the father, of course, we're not omitting that, but everything that she used to do before she wasn't out there in the workforce a lot became wrong, became taboo, became as though it's less than as though she was doing it because she cannot do more. No, but it is the most you can do. It is very noble as it is.
Right.
And I remember one day I saw on LinkedIn the name of an organization, which also I'm not going to name. And at the time, I guess I was a little bit naive. I thought it was very creative. It was an organization just for moms who want to get back into the workforce after decades of being stay-at-home mom. And I thought, wow, how great. But now that I think about it, like, what's so great about it? Are you saying, what? It's not like she just got out of a hospital and she needs rehab. Is she disabled? She
Yeah,
ran a home. She managed a home. She managed
right.
schedule of a husband and his job and of children and their hobbies and activities and friends and travel and her life and their health. So it's much higher than an executive assistant of a CEO kind of job, if we want to look at it that way. So society didn't help, by
No.
pushing the competition, as you mentioned, among men, but also among women, that rivalry that was created,
Yeah,
and by labeling
yeah,
everything classical for women as though it's wrong or it's beneath them, and speaking of classical, like I want to mention, since everyone and everything in society always talks about science and DNA, and they swear by it as though it's, the only thing that where you cannot go, where you cannot be controversial. So by DNA and science, women are, have that, normally speaking, feeling and desire to feel beautiful, to feel protected by men, to feel taken care of, whether emotionally speaking, physically speaking, socially speaking, the safety aspect. So there's nothing wrong. It's not going to be, we're not at a point of evolution where it's gone out of the DNA, and you have, neuroscientists who speak about it, and so many people. So but I mean, I want to get back to your point on the rivalry, because also
yeah,
obviously it's
yeah.
not inclusive. It's not really taken into consideration all women from all walks in life and of life, and their circumstances. So I don't know. How do you
Right.
see that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me personally, it's fine for anybody to just make the choice that they want to make. Not everybody, though, is in a situation where they can make a choice. Some women have to go out there in the workforce because they are the providers of their family, or they're the second providers of their family. And some people have to do two jobs even in order to make their family to keep their family running. But so for me personally, I honestly, it doesn't bother me at all that, that women choose to become high executives. I think it's good for them, kudos. What bothers me, and I wanted to just make that clear because this is not like a rivalry between stay-at-home moms and, working mothers. Um, I want to make it clear that for me, anybody just makes the choice that they want to make, but then don't really, denigrate one particular group. And that's where I feel like I'm becoming a little challenged, because I feel like I've been, pointed the finger at so many times. I have even been asked before, what do you do all day?
Wow.
What you do? Or, I don't really want to go out with this person. I was told I don't want to go out with this person because I don't know what to say to her. She has nothing to say. So it's these stereotypes that make the rivalry, you know, even more persistent than it should be. It shouldn't be at all. Us women should have the freedom, if we don't have to go out and work for economic reasons, we should have the freedom to choose and decide whatever we want to. And the power should be within ourselves without pointing fingers at one another, what we can and what we can't do.
And you chose the perfect word, freedom. I mean, why is someone free, and everyone and all of, society and all the world backed her up when she wanted to become an executive and worked and empowered her, but then someone else has to be judged, not empowered, if that's her free choice. She shouldn't be judged, and she should be empowered
Yeah.
also if that's her choice, because nothing, is beneath that role. Again, I mean, we should also be honestly alert to how things flipped, and sometimes whether innocently or not, but the result is very confusing because, we are,
Yeah, it
it's
is.
not, it's very confusing, and for instance, I mentioned also like this is how we started, like this event. We celebrate only executive, women, even though there's a Mother's Day that we celebrate. It takes much less uh,
Yeah,
buzz
yeah.
these days. But on the image that we want to be seen, it also seems that there was another label that was pushed into society and another narrative that was dismissed, not just from these celebrations and events, but from society as well, which is if a woman loves and feels like, being beautiful, presenting herself as a beautiful woman. And we see that in the fact, if you compare old feminism and new feminism, like um, unhealthiness has been promoted in the name of comfort and in the name of body positive, whereas just like, anorexia and obesity should be both, uh, there should be enough education and awareness about both of them, but one was chosen as comfort and, don't judge and don't label and don't bully. Only the other was the bad disease. So unhealthiness was promoted, was instead of, healthiness in the name of these labels, and beauty became as though, as though it's again, as though it's wrong, as though it's taboo. Elegance is out of society in the name of comfort, in the name of practical, where elegance is all, elegance is not something bad. I mean, how can you go wrong and have a bad perspective on elegance, on beauty, on healthiness, on health, on being healthy, and just like in your mind, in your body as well. And another thing is, again, and this is also a little tricky, sexiness. It used to be, it always used to be a word with a question mark, but it was more innocent, much more innocent than now. It used to be subtle. It included grace, femininity, being beautiful, like sex appeal. Now it's major taboo, and it's like if you cannot do that, I mean, you're really objectifying yourself for men. And not just that, this is the opposite of what feminism fought for. Because if you remember the days where they started doing movies about assault and about rape, and wasn't that famous line what they were promoting, which is no is no. There were stories about, how girls dressed up and they got assaulted, and, entire movies and media and news and books were written like no is no. She should be able to wear what she wants. That was feminism behind it, and that was great. That was great. But what happened? Why is it now that if she wears that dress, she becomes, judged? Like that means you're giving in to violent men out there instead of, you know, taking them to some kind of, social rehab or educating them. It feels like, you know, when it started, feminism was really all about the violent men and the equal rights. But then instead of educating these men, we just attacked men, attacked women, put more pressure on women. Don't wear the dress, and don't look beautiful, and you cannot be sexy, and you cannot be that. So that means the man can, no wonder they're still violent out there. I mean, I don't see any statistics of them, going down because no one did anything about that. I mean, people are still raising violent men, whether it's the mom or the father. So something to look into as and the international community celebrates women, as society became full of labels. And I feel that this is really confusing both men and women. I remember when I first moved to DC, I was with my friend, my colleague, and she was from Lebanon too. And we both took our moms out to Georgetown. And we were on the escalator at the metro. And we suddenly hear just guys like staring at us and, giving comments. We couldn't discern the language. We couldn't, understand what they were saying, just looking at us, checking us out. And they looked cute. And we were like, no one looks at us here. No guys flirt just like that. And then when they crossed us by the escalator, they were Italian. So we started laughing
Oh, yes.
because we know it was a fact.
Yes.
It's still a fact. You're not gonna get like ciao bella in DC from an American guy. And now
No, no.
worse. That was 2004. Now it's worse. I'm just trying to say that men are scared of
Is that,
making
you mean
first
it's the
move.
cultural thing? You mean it's the cultural thing? It's not an age thing? It's not like, oh, they used to do it when you were in your 30s, but they no
No,
longer
it's a
do it now that
cultural
you're in
thing.
your 50s?
It's a cultural thing because ever since I was in the US, they don't. In LA, they used to. Now I don't know about the new LA. LA
Oh,
shocked me.
interesting.
I once was stepping out of the hotel. I was there for work, and a guy approached me on the street and he wanted to talk to me, and he was so cute and he was making a compliments. So it's not just the age, it's cultural. Like he was American,
Yeah,
but it was LA.
yeah,
Now LA,
yeah.
I feel that all men are scared. Back to my point on, scared and confused, and which made
Confused.
people you know what it made people? It made people just want to be safe instead of loving or trying or approaching and connecting with people. And that's bad. So we all know we love the attention, maybe some women more than others, maybe some men more than others. And all these labels we live by. And God forbid if we're not in one of them in one box, then people don't get us. They become distant. They don't want to have to do anything with us. Just like you're
Right.
saying, a person didn't want to see you or talk to you. She thought you had nothing to say. She just
Yeah,
doesn't understand you, doesn't understand that, or doesn't accept, cannot really imagine that you do have other things to say.
right.
So they go by labels and by boxes in society today, even more in America. I don't know about Europe. If you wanna add something here,
I was just going to ask you, do you think that there is, and I do think there is, do you think there is a big cultural difference between America, Europe, and the Middle East? I don't know what it is like in the Middle East on, men, for example, but I can tell you that when I am in Paris, I just get, approached by men, like I wouldn't say all the time, but but they are not fearful of coming up to a woman and saying, "Oh, you look beautiful today," or "I like the way you have your hair done," or "I love your outfit," and I always laugh because
because
it's like you say when you walk when you walk down the street in New York City, there is no way that they're going to look at. And maybe this is an age thing again, right?
no, I think
Maybe, and this
culture.
is for the younger people, yeah, for the younger people who are out there, maybe for them it's different. Maybe they perceive these things differently. But for sure, definitely, there is a difference between the way men are in Europe. I think they are much less scared of looking at a woman, of talking to a woman, than they are here in America. And that definitely must have to do with the fact that they're scared of being looked upon as well as violating a woman's body or just using her as pardon my expression, a piece of meat.
Yeah.
um you know so yeah, yeah,
To
I
answer,
can follow you.
yeah,
Yeah,
to answer
yeah,
you, I think it's cultural and not age because
yeah, yeah.
it goes from the simple look to the compliment. It's not just, talking and making compliments. And so, men of
No.
a certain age can
Yeah,
also look, but in Washington, in the US, they're not even looking anymore. They're scared of dating
yeah,
at work, even if
yes,
no, even if it's not someone like your superior, they're just scared of dating. Workplace used to be a place where you meet people, where you can meet someone and you can even marry them. It used to be, a
yeah,
nice place to go. Now you go and people are scared of any possible relationship and connecting there.
yeah,
I think, I mean, I'm glad to hear that it's different in Europe. In the Middle East and Lebanon, it's definitely different because there are no laws, about assault at work or anything. So men are more free, which takes you to the other extreme. Like if something bad happens, you don't have anything protecting you. And I think there should be a balance. Don't make people scared of being people, of being human, of being attracted to one another and expressing this attraction, as long as it's polite, as long as it's civil, not out of line, respectful. Don't make them scared of doing that, as long as it's done properly. But I think, yeah, I think in America they lost it, at least in Washington, and now you're saying in New York. So yeah, I think it's cultural. Maybe
Mhm.
it's also age. I don't know. I'm not seeing age yet. On the contrary, I
Right,
think
right.
I'm in trouble. I get approached by younger people.
Well, that's a compliment, I think.
That's a compliment. Yeah, but well,
Would be a compliment. Sure,
always
for
a compliment.
sure. So,
Yeah.
what do you think is the impact of all of this on both men and on women? We already said that it is confusing for
Mhm.
both of them, but what do you think we could do about it?
So in addition to
What should be done about it?
confusing, I feel that it's one of the things that make us one of the highest depressed people as America, because I've read that in so many studies. And one thing we could do about it, which was also something I learned from a neuroscientist I listened to, um, when she talked about creativity, she talked about creativity and beauty, engaging in them and being surrounded by them. She didn't go as far as like look beautiful, because again, I bet you she's going to be judged. But I feel that if we really I mean, before we used to take care so much of our physical health. Mental health was, something on the shelf. Now it's all about mental health, mental health, mental health. Okay, how much can mental health do to you if you are overweight or underweight? Or if you look in the mirror and you have such dark circles, you don't have good skin, you don't have good hair, you don't have good nails, you don't have good skin, why don't you take care of yourself too? It's elegance, it's respect for others, it's respect for yourself. And I really, truly believe, I believe in the look good, feel good, but that's me. So we should take care of
Yeah.
ourselves. I think it affects well-being, the physical appearance.
Yeah. So you're saying that everybody should just make out for themselves, which is that freedom again, what they would like to do, what they want to do. Because that also takes us to the point of beauty. What is beauty?
Yes.
Yeah, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, it said, right? Beauty is also something that we're being told by society. We have to have a certain size, we have to have a certain hair, we have to have certain a certain appearance. So it's true what you say, everybody just has to kind of make up their own minds, what is beautiful to them. And I, for one, happen to be a believer that it's much more in the expressions that a person has. It's much more in the personality that a person has than size, than eye color, hairstyle, things like that. So, but again, I think it's in the freedom again, and this for International Women's Day. I think that women again should have that freedom to decide themselves what is beautiful for themselves and not what society is dictating them for it to be.
Exactly. I do agree with you. Beauty is subjective. I meant more elegance, because when you're elegant and when you're proper,
Right.
physically speaking, and healthy, it does affect your mood. But beauty is subjective. And, we're going to be talking about it a lot more on our next show. So, guys, stay tuned because we are going to discuss also in relation to this subject, I guess, youth for middle-aged people, and who discusses youth without discussing beauty. We'll talk more
I
about that.
always laugh with the middle age.
Yeah,
Yeah, well, I always laugh
I
about the
never
fact
use it.
that
It's the first time I use
middle
it.
age.
I look funny. It's the first
Well,
time I
I'm
use it.
definitely middle aged, so there you go. It doesn't matter. I know I am. I totally submit to it now. So,
Yeah, so
yeah.
we'll talk about it
So,
more next time. But I just to wrap it up,
yeah,
want to say that just like society and women need to be free to do whatever they want if they feel like want to age gracefully and not do anything, or if they feel like they want to stay
Yeah.
young, neither woman should be pressured or judged. And, we'll talk about that more next time,
Yeah.
but because we're running out of time, but any final thoughts
Yes,
from
we are.
you, Katrien?
No, I mean, for me, when we talk about International Women's Day, the fact is that it's not just about the international scene or the national scene. It's not just about groups going out there and helping women become more independent, or, I am all for giving women education, but it also starts at a local level. We
Yeah.
have to take care of each other. We don't have to see each other as rivals. For one, I am so happy sometimes when, good stuff happen to friends of mine. I had a girlfriend, and after I believe it was almost 2 years of unemployment, she just found a killer job, and I was so incredibly happy for her that, that she's now in a position where she feels good about herself because she is, a career woman, and that is part of her identity. So good for her, kudos. So we need to take care of each other also on a local level within our own circle of friends, and we need to support each other and try and be less competitive with one another.
I think empowerment starts locally. And when I say locally, it even starts with your family, with your loved ones. I've always struggled understanding any therapist or mental health book that said if you don't find support among your loved ones, look for it outside. To me, and I don't know if it's my culture, it is crucial that I receive it from my loved ones, from my community, from my family. So I really think I believe in the importance, the crucial importance of local empowerment, starting with the circle of friends and family, because these are the people you love, and you expect them to be there for you, and you are happy when they're happy for you. And then when you are so well, feeling good about this, you are empowered, then you can take care of others, and you can, cross borders and
That's right.
of strangers, and contribute to building nations and societies and educating women.
So that was it today for our segment on International Women's Day. Next time, actually, we're going to talk about the expectations that society has on women, and we will talk about why we need to fill this ideal of, what a woman should be like and what a woman should look like. Because more and more, when we listen to celebrities like Brooke Shields, for example, who has written a wonderful book called Brooke Shields is Not Allowed to Age. So we will talk about that a little bit more in detail next time in our show.
And you attended an event, Katrien,
Ninar.
the book signing of Brooke Shields.
Yes,
So
I
we have
did.
we have special
Yes.
insight into that. It's going to
Yeah.
be a special show, I know, and one
Yes.
that's really interesting for all women, because I know that even 20-year-olds and 30 years old are, worried
Yeah.
about youth. Youth is something on the mind of every
Yes.
woman, youth and youth.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
stay tuned, and stay in touch on social media and keep sending us your feedback. Thank you again for watching.
Yes.
Thanks. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. See you next time. Bye-bye. Bye.